Hey people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm looking at Medicom's MAFEX Boba Fett from Empire Strikes Back. The MAFEX line in general. There's been some ups, there's been some downs. My thoughts on this Boba Fett were, if it's good, I may keep some more, depending on how good it is. But if it's bad, I'm dropping all my pre-orders. The post office decided to wait 5 days to deliver my Boba Fett. But in that time, I've found that a lot of people are liking this figure. Now I'm really excited to get this open. The package itself, it's the standard MAFEX box. Black with the original promo images on it. And then the big window showing everything in there, the pretty picture on the side. And like I said, the original promo images that we've seen since the figure was solicited, who knows how long ago, it's been a long time. And then some unreadables, bobblehead, herky-jerky shoulders, weapons bendy, the waist may fall apart, and get ready for floppy legs. So I'm gonna get this figure open and see for myself. I'm going by everybody else's opinions. And in the past, we've seen differences figure to figure, so maybe mine will be a floppy mess, everyone else's will be good. That's the Robo Luck. Even the head has a little blister around it protecting the face, and I'm guessing the rangefinder. And there we go, all out of the box. And I'll have to admit, this is a pretty great figure. Just looking at the figure, you can see that the colors are pretty much dead on. It's hard to get closer than this. And the paint scuffs on the armor, while not exactly 100% accurate, they are there and represented good enough to make you think this is what Boba Fett looks like. Now, speaking of paint, there is one part that jumped out at me. The Boba Fett logo on his upper right chest. The red for the lowercase f and the drop, or whatever it is on the thing, was applied off to the left a little bit. Those should be a little bit centered on those halves of the circle, but it's such a small detail that it's hard to see unless you get really close up on it. Flipping around to the Mythosaur, it's applied perfectly. It's on the shoulder pad, centered. It just looks great overall. The yellow knee pads, they're kind of dirty. In fact, the whole figure is kind of worn, kind of gritty, just like Boba Fett should be. And then there's the sculpt itself. I've seen a lot of people say the head's too big or he's too skinny, but these are actual human proportions. This looks like a little dude in a suit. And then the sculpt work they did on the wrinkles and the pouches and everything, oh, just perfect. The thing right here is bent. It kind of follows the gauntlet around to the hand, but it's a soft material, so I could heat it up, straighten it out, see what happens there. The jetpack, awesome. It's got its reds and its darker greens and a little bit of wear to it, but it's a kind of a hollow plastic, so you want to be careful with this rocket. It feels a little bit fragile. It feels brittle, so don't put too much force here. These pieces here on the jetpack, they are articulated. They do angle back and turn. This one is really, really tight, so I was kind of leery about turning it in the first place, but the other side, it's not loose, but it's free to move. Flipping around to the rangefinder, it's made of a softer material. I guess they did that to make sure that it doesn't snap off since it's such a small piece. And they did articulate it, so it comes down. Other things like the shoulder pads and the pouches on the belt, you would think would get it in the way of articulation. The shoulder pads do, but they are kind of soft. They do get up out of the way a little bit, but not like the pouches on here. These are super soft material. Because it's a whole separate piece, the belt is just a big old rubber piece. Coming around to the weapons and the holster, they're made of a more brittle material like the backpack, so you want to be kind of careful with those. The holster has this strap that comes up and open. I didn't want to get too much force on that. I didn't break it. It didn't act like it was going to break, but you just never know. You don't want to push it. The cape is a hard plastic. It's weird to have these be so soft and then this be this stiff. It doesn't bend. It doesn't move. It doesn't get out of the way. So I've seen a lot of people wanting to replace this with cloth. It seems pretty easy. It looks just pinned here at the top. So that should be easy enough. And then finally, before getting into articulation, the Wookiee braids or Padawan braids or whatever we go by now. In the package, this was back here like this, kind of flying, and I took pictures like that. Then I started messing with the figure and I realized it was rotated. This is a whole separate piece. It's kind of a softer material, but you can kind of put it wherever you want. It does get in the way of down articulation a little bit because it does come under the shoulder, but it's not that bad. Now, for articulation, there is a ball up into the head and then a ball at the bottom of the neck. So you get a pretty good range of movement for a guy wearing a big-ass helmet. Rotation, down, up. The shoulders, like I said, a little bit hindered by both the scalps or the braids or whatever you want to call it and the shoulder pads. So you can get up to about right here, which is good. It's out almost 90. But rotation, it stops right there. You can't get it up further than that. And that's on both sides. The shoulder is a ball into there, so you can drop it down a little bit, come forward, back. There is some movement around there. Then there's a swivel on the ball. The elbows are weird. The right side, it comes up to about right there. It's past 90. Get to the left arm, you have more range of movement. It comes up a little bit further than that. You can see that the left side has more cutout than the right side. It's got a bigger point of articulation there. Don't know why it's different. Maybe it's the gauntlets. I feel like that's just the way they chose to sculpt it. The wrists are on a ball. You have a swivel, and then you have a hinge, and you can set that hinge to go any direction you want just by pulling the hand off and then turning the inside. The torso has a ball up into the torso under the armor here and then down into the waist. So it's got range of movement, but not that great since he has the belt on, the armor pieces, the backpack. I kind of feel like that centerpiece, the abdomen here, is kind of hard to set. You have to kind of move it around and get that seam line in the middle, or it starts floating off to the side. If you get him standing up straight, you can kind of see that the jetpack is over to his left just slightly. But that is nitpicking really hardcore. The hips are on a down hinge. You can pull them down to get more range of movement. But they are still kind of hindered. They come up to about right there. He comes back, comes out. Pretty good. I mean, that's better than we've been seeing with a lot of figures lately. Both legs are on the same inside hinge joint, so if you're pulling on one, the other one moves around. Got rotation on the hip ball. Double knees comes up back about this far, and it does start to open up there if you get too far, but I like how this is sculpted where it looks like the leg just continues on. Got a swivel at the ankle down to a ball that gives you back, forward. Then it has a forward-facing pin for rocker, and then a little bit of toe hinge. Now for accessories, he comes with 2 open hands in the package. This is just relaxed hands or flying hands or waving goodbye hands or holding his weapon up, which he does come with 1 right trigger finger. And he comes with 2 fists. The fists are always cool. I'm good with that. Little fisticuffs going on. He comes with a small pistol. I've never displayed a Boba Fett with this gun, so not a big deal here, but it does look good. It's painted nicely. Mine, the barrel came just crooked a little bit. I was afraid to get too crazy with it. I put it in the holster, which in the holster it looks really good. And it'll probably stay right there. And then he comes with his rifle. This is painted really good. And the details on the actual gun, it just stands out. It looks great. And as far as the hands go, there's not a lot of mushroom to the peg here. It's mostly friction that holds the hands on. The 2 open hands and the fists are really easy to slip on there. I mean, it just goes right on, no problem whatsoever. But you get to the trigger finger hand, I don't know if there's something different going on with it or what, but it's a little bit harder. The hole seems smaller or something, I don't know. Here's the MAFEX Boba Fett next to Hasbro's Black Series Boba Fett. The sizes are nearly the same. You can see that the MAFEX helmet's a little bit bigger. What it comes down to here, colors. The MAFEX makes the Black Series look kind of cartoony. The green seems really bright now. But I'm not sitting here looking at reference pictures either. Just that to my eye, in my brain's picture of Boba Fett, the MAFEX colors are a lot closer to what I imagine. And then here's the big showdown. The quest for Boba Fett domination on my shelf. Here is the MAFEX with the Bandai model kit. Now granted, the model kit takes a lot of work. You have to add a lot of detail to it, a lot of weathering. Now I have added the silver and some of the blast marks, some black here and there, but I haven't weathered the jumpsuit. So yeah, that's a little bit bright. Even saying all that, the MAFEX just looks great. Yes, the Bandai kit has a lot of sharp detail, but man, the sculpted wrinkles and everything else on the MAFEX is impressive. So at the end of the day, I never thought I'd say this, but MAFEX takes it. Yes, Medicom has had their good figures. They've also had their bad figures, and when their bad figures are bad, they're bad. And I've said several times in the past few months that this Boba Fett is my deal breaker for MAFEX. But I'll be damned if Medicom didn't come back around and impress the hell out of me. If I were to complain about anything, it would be that the hands come off kind of easily, a little bit too easily. When you're trying to get that two-handed grip on the rifle, the left hand tends to just pull off. But man, it comes out looking fantastic at the end. The proportions, the sculpts, the colors, the weathering, just everything here just works. And I apologize for sounding so surprised. It's just, I was kind of looking forward to hating this figure, you know? I'd spent months just thinking about it. I could save some money by dropping this whole line of figures. And then, Boba Fett comes in, and it's amazing. I feel kind of flip-floppy for that. It's a weird feeling, but it's also kind of nice to be this surprised with a figure. So I'll quit rambling. It's a good figure. I feel like I got my money's worth. This is replacing the model kit on my shelf. Yeah, it's that good. I'll be damned. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Fwoosh. It does have that figure arts thing of the shifting hip down, but it doesn't really work if the leg doesn't want to stay on. When you pull it down, you have to shift it down and then put the leg on it, which, because of this long plate right here, it doesn't really want to go. And because of how loose that is, it's just hard to get back on there. Get on there.